Immediate and a very automatic in terms of the French understanding. Let me actually demonstrate that my French reading is really automatic. I'm actually just, simply in need of presenting these in English. That's really the minimum amount that I can ever use. Let me actually show you. I don't really need to. I'm actually really faster. No, I'm not really late. Let me actually pick out anything. Do it. I don't really need to. I don't really read a Korean. This is really a key day for the mobilization against the reform of the pensions approximately 2 weeks after the beginning of the movement. In Paris and Marseille and Reims and Toulouse and Lyon and Bordeaux and Rouen and other dozens of cities in France, and the millions of protesters have already descended as they are being deployed on the street to call for immediate stoppage by actually, a conjoined alliance of the labor unions. It's really easy. As calling for immediate stoppage, that's also echoed by many of syndicates. That means labor unions. Yeah, it's really easy. It is a great movement. Definitely, there exists CFDT, the principal reformist labor union, who joined this procession and cortege. Presented at the debut of this Paris gathering and assembly, the general secretary, the head of the CFDT, Laurent Bergier, truly expresses one's own volition to fight off this, age of equilibrium and equity and equality previewed by the reform, and he demands the government to make its retirement, at least step down from power. This red line has already been crossed and surpassed. Laurent Berger had declared this in reference to the certain age of equilibrium the last week after the presentation of the project of a reform of pensions by Edouard Philippe. This is what had pushed the group to rejoin the movement of the protestation by making a firm promulgation of its positions. This age of equilibrium, previewed in 2022, definitely is going to reshape and forge out the actual understanding for everything that might actually be part of the situation, affect every, person in the country. Yeah, by actually cutting off the qualifications for many to receive a pensions ahead of time, that would no longer possibly be acceptable if this new reform plans would be adopted. That's really easy. So if you ever actually want to watch this age of equilibrium previewed in 2022 is going to truly hammer out such a problem for all the people who might actually leave their work at early age or before reaching the certain age. Who might actually want to share the bonus for everything. That might actually want to partake in or leave after that. Who might actually receive a pension monies after this reform plan. Who might want to leave their work much earlier because of the medical conditions or difficult challenges, then those people are heavily affected by this pension plan if this proposition or proposal gets approved. I'm not lying. I don't really need to repeat it. You know what? Let me actually do this American thing once more because I was really perfect and it was not my fault. At first trial, I was really great, but it was somehow turned off. I feel so disastrous. That's not my fault. If you have a question about it, please find out this original version. I recorded it. For whatever reason, this version has been disparaged. It's not my fault. I'm going to publish second version, but my first version was much better. I can guarantee that. Yeah, I was really correct. I was never been thinking of my first version was really amazing. No, I'm not lying. I don't really read anything. No, I didn't read it. What did it go so? The pandemic, which actually touches harshly the United States, the country the most lamented up to date with more than 80,000 deaths and a rate of a record-breaking employment, this actually does not save a person, or this does not actually, no longer leave White House alone. The White House also has two employees, especially from the West Wing, where the Oval Office is situated. Since these two employees have already actually tested positive for coronaviruses, in the past days. This is about a Navy military official serving Donald Trump and Katie Miller, who is a spokesperson of the Vice President Mike Pence. If you have a doubt about my fluency, check out the latest and the first version. It's not my fault that this video was unable to be played for whatever reason because somebody was preventing me from doing this. Since multiple members of the task force team created for fighting off against an epidemic crisis have already placed themselves in quarantine after having been probably exposed to virus. Amongst them, the epidemiologist and the very icon of the task force against the COVID-19, Anthony Fauci. It is, since then, his office at home. Yeah, and his office is his personal office. That's really the place where he has received the questions from senators this Tuesday. Yeah, really. It's really easy. And he has actually paid full attention to the consequences, really serious, especially concerning the very rapid lift up of the confinement measures with the promptness improper. Meanwhile, the number of states have already started to authorize the return to work and a return to normalcy, while daily report card still picks up at its highest level of deaths with 1900s. Much intended, expected, awaited. He's in a hearing via video conference in front of the U.S. Senate. He has already made a clear contrast with the discourse of the American president, who truly pictures the very positive, optimistic message about the necessity of relaunching the economy of the nation already ravaged by the coronavirus crisis. Our capacity of testing is the best in the world, far from so far. Yeah. He has defended this position on his Twitter yesterday. The numbers surely plummet in the majority of the regions of our country, which definitely want to reopen up and restart their life. And this is going to happen, and it is underway to resume its work with every concern about security also. But this point of view is far from being shared by a number of Democratic governors throughout the nation. Again, also by Barack Obama Tuesday, the former president, who has, unveiled shots targeting his successor while denouncing Donald Trump's handling of the pandemic crisis as a absolute chaotic disaster. I already actually said that Donald Trump says that's really the reason why I said heat, but I just really decided to denote who is heat in this condition. Barack Obama has equally evoked the very controversial decision taken by the Attorney General of the United States to remove and drop down the case of accusation against Michael Flynn, a former advisor of Donald Trump, followed by having lied to authorities about his contacts with the Russian diplomat. Yeah, there has been no precedent, which actually gives a power to exculpate already criminalized person because of a perjury by giving that person with immunity. There is no person in the U.S. history who just evades the punishment after being inculpated for having lied to authorities in the name of perjury by actually, being let go with the immunity and impunity. Impunity is really also with no punishment. This person is just immune from punishment with impunity. There is no lift up of the punitive actions to hold this, perjury wrongdoer accountable. He was just let go. There's no person in the U.S. history who just runs away from the perjury charges with impunity. He says that. This is really the type of a situation and genre of the situation, definitely, in which one could commence or start to think about, or at least challenging the very fundamental foundation and a lecture of rule of law, which he would be menaced. He has a previewed. He has a predicted. These declarations that have provoked the anger of the President Donald Trump since then. So he actually uses his channel on Twitter to accuse Barack Obama of being the worst criminal politician of the U.S. history and of not having made the nation well prepared in the face of the sanitary condition as of now by building up the proper infrastructure built to last, by conducting a stress test that would had never been done by him, Barack Obama, according to the perspective of Donald Trump. Meanwhile, the very bad, election polls truly concern even his team of campaign. He's a campaign team filled with the managers and workers who are very much worried about the very bad numbers. Yeah. So this, concern by the White House has not actually, been obliged to be appreciated by Barack Obama after having carried his support for Joe Biden. Having expressed his support for Joe Biden. You understand that, right? So, following from the very bad polls, which he even also concerned the Donald Trump's campaign team, this type of a message targeting the White House. Has not been appreciated by anyone but Barack Obama after, having supported his endorsement for Joe Biden and, and it truly abandons this type of normal reservation concerning the adoption of the ordinary life as the formal precedent to break out of silence by taking side with Joe Biden. Yeah. Each, slackens a fist to get in a shouting match and a fist fight as this election gets closer than ever, which actually promised again the most electrified campaign against each other as the election cycle goes nearer to its main fight, right? Meanwhile, what happens outside the Atlantic? The American president against the American President Obama. Would it be the match of the 2020? Not actually mentioning anything about Joe Biden, but Trump versus Obama is really the main match for the November 2020 when the election is about to take place. Finally, the Brazil is on the way to become a country with the greatest amount of the contaminated infections. Would that be possible? That's what I was missing. I don't really need to think about it.